Welcome back to Blockbuster Backrooms, where we walk through a horror movie and I tell you what I think. This is also your heads up that this is spoiler territory and you're listening at your own risk. Today we're taking a look at Stephanie, a 2017 thriller directed by Akiva Goldsmith from a screenplay by Ben Collins and Luke Piotrowski. The film knows how to draw you in and keep you interested, while eventually revealing low-key eldritch horror vibes, which I love. So let's talk about it. We open with a little girl turning off the TV. She starts to play piano, but her attempts at playing a song quickly turn to her just mashing keys loudly. At this point, I'm wondering where her parents are. Because if this were me, you know I'd be getting told to play properly, or not at all. Especially since it's early morning. The camera shows us a wide shot of the dimly lit lounge. There's a knife stuck in the ceiling and a small girl sitting with her back to us. This, my friends, is Stephanie. We cut to a scene of her making a smoothie. She's talking to her soft toy Francis, and they decide the smoothie needs one more ingredient, so she climbs up on a chair to try and get what looks like homemade jam. The jam's on one of the high shelves and ends up falling down and smashing. It's at this point I was really wondering where her parents were. Stephanie picks up a large piece of shattered glass and pushes the jam that was stuck to it in the blender. And away we go. It's smoothie time. Except the blades jam. I swear to God, this kid goes and sticks her hand in the machine while it's running, just so she can try and make the blade spin again. The first time I saw this scene, I was hella suspenseful, fully wondering if they were going to follow through this early in the film. There's a bang that makes Stephanie jump and pull her hand away just as the blades start spinning again. Our girl goes to investigate as a ball rolls down the stairs. She yells out to something before telling it to stop, and it's not fun, before going back to her smoothie. However, she steps on a large piece of broken glass. Crying, she hobbles upstairs and fixes herself up. That night, she makes dinner and sets up 4 plates before eating alone. By this point, it's pretty obvious that our girl's all alone and no one else is anywhere. Bro, these introduction scenes are so good. You're constantly questioning where her parents are, wanting to know what's happened to everyone, and what the heck was upstairs that threw that ball? Is it a spooky ghost? Is our girl haunted? How long has she been alone here? The movie really draws you in with this big mystery, and I was 100% ready to find out everything. The next morning, she's playing hide and seek with Francis when her brother's bedroom door slams shut. She ignores it though. Stephanie drags a crayon along the wall and drops it into a small pile at the bottom of the stairs, showing us that she's done this quite a few times before and helping us get an idea of just how long she's actually been by herself. As she wanders around the house, we finally get some insight on what's happened. We pass a few newspaper clippings exclaiming an invasion of unknown entities and the army being unprepared. We also see that Stephanie's parents were part of the army, as Stephanie looks through a photo album while pretending to hide from Francis in a blankie fort. Both parents are in uniform, and in one picture it looks like her mum might be a doctor. One thing the movie does really well with is keeping us in Stephanie's perspective. We learn everything as she learns it, and we're basically putting it all together with her. Our browsing of the photo album is interrupted though, as something enters the room. Alright y'all, I've watched this movie a lot, but this scene here, whoo boy, does it still hit hard. Stephanie cowers in her fort as you hear this thing coming into the room. All you see is part of a silhouette against the sheets before it eventually leaves. Oh man, it's so good. I love it. The tension, the sounds, it's just hella dope. We then gain some knowledge as Stephanie closes the now open front door before going back upstairs to talk to Francis. Stephanie tells us that the monster lives in the trees outside her house, and if it comes, you gotta stay calm and quiet so it won't attack you. Honestly, big props to this kid for surviving for so long. We later get a real cute scene where Stephanie realizes she can swear without getting told off. And our girl pops off. Stephanie, as a character, is really good. Not to mention the acting. Child actors often get given a pass for only being kids, but I don't give them one. Actors get picked on their abilities, and a bad actor, no matter the age, can take you out of a film. Shree Cooks, who does a really good job at playing Stephanie. And it's hella important, because Stephanie's not only the main character, but also the only character for the large majority of the film. The whole thing wouldn't have fallen apart if Shree Crooks wasn't good at what she does. And what she does, be acting. That night, Stephanie has a spooky dream about her brother. She gets up, I assume to maybe go downstairs to get some water, except the monster seems to have gotten into the house again. She rushes into her brother's room to hide and steps on a rotten pumpkin. She throws it out the window and apologizes to her brother's corpse, saying things like, "I'm sorry, pumpkins get rotten so fast. It's my fault." All the while, it's just her brother's probably rotting corpse lying in the bed covered by a sheet. Bro, this poor flippin' girl, what is she, like 9, 10 years old? She ends up sitting next to a bed and talks to his body while holding its hand. And the corpse's hand dead-ass moves to hold her back. Bro, I know the ending and why all of this is happening, which honestly just kind of adds a whole nother layer of sad to this film. But on my first watch, I was like, bro, oh man, it sent me straight back to feeling like I know nothing. Is it actually aliens? What's up with that body? Is it actually her brother's? Why the hell did it move? The movie does so well at keeping you interested and wanting to know more. And to top it all off, Stephanie's not even scared by her brother's hand moving. She's just sad. The next day, we get to find out a bit about the world outside as Stephanie channel surfs. We pass a few broadcasts talking about quarantines and a worldwide ban on travelling to other countries, all overlaid with footage of wrecked buildings and camps. So we at least know now that, while alone in the house, there are others out there still alive. That night, Stephanie dressed up in a nice dress and is having a tea party with her soft toys. It's kind of weird and sad to see, because on one hand, it's a normal thing for little kids to do, but then on the other, it really helps cement that presence of isolation and loneliness that's present throughout the whole movie. Stephanie's window bangs open during her tea party, and she turns around from closing it, only to find her pet rabbit dead in the middle of the table. Upset, she goes to her brother's room and yells at him, blaming him for the reason her parents left, and that he was supposed to be looking after her. She starts hitting his body with a baseball bat, and some real spooks start to happen. Stephanie ends up hiding under her blanket for the rest of the night, scared, upset, and alone. In the morning, the rabbit's gone. It's shown that Stephanie's getting low on food as she forces herself to eat marmalade. It made me wonder how she'd do if she had to leave the house. We know she's pretty smart, despite the whole blender thing at the start of the movie. And she's actually been doing really well looking after herself. But that's with everything being there, ready for her to use. It made me play with the idea of how she'd fare outside with no house for protection and no knowledge of what should be facing past the tree line. Later that night, something breaks into the house. Our girl hides in the shower. But, lo and behold, it's her heckin' parents. Stephanie doesn't really react to her mum, to be honest, but she's super happy to see her dad. It's kinda bittersweet though, because while Stephanie's real happy, her ma and pa are giving each other these weird looks. Stephanie sleeps in their bed that night. The next morning, mum's getting changed, and she's revealed, to have these super gnarly looking wounds along her stomach. There's a really awful tension between Stephanie and her mum, and it really sucks. Later, Stephanie finds out that her brother's body has been moved out of his room and given a proper burial. Poor Stephanie's so upset. She's worried her bro can no longer find his way back home. While all this is going down, we also see Stephanie's dad building a really big fence around the house. Stephanie finally ends up asking her ma why they left her behind, and kinda ends up answering her own question, saying, "You thought the monster had got me too." And mum's just like, "Yeah." Stephanie also admits that she's actually really scared, and that hardcore tension between her and her mum finally eases up a little bit. I gotta admit though, while the mum's been awkward, worried, and overall not the greatest to be around, the dad's been such a cool dad. I think maybe he's just better at hiding his worry, but Stephanie also seems a lot happier when hanging out with him. Although, we do get a really cute bonding scene that made me smile. The movie does a big 180 though, as the brother's body has been dug up, smashed through the upstairs window, and thrown back into his bed. We walk in on mum crying, as dad pulls her away from the room. The scenes in the movie are so well placed. They really do draw reactions out of you. I honestly felt so bad for them. Although, one thing does stand out a bit. It's despite how happy Stephanie is to see her parents again, you can tell she's getting annoyed by them at different points throughout the movie. It's just something interesting to keep an eye on. We also learn some more about these aliens, as well as getting to actually see some of the emotional strain that the mum's been feeling. We also get a scene of Stephanie and her dad talking. The camera gets real close up to his face, and it leads to a really uncomfortable, claustrophobic feeling. It's a technique I actually really like, since it conveys so much emotion whenever it's used, mainly pulling feelings out of a viewer, so we can feel how the character feels in that situation. Later that night, the dad gets attacked by the monster, dragged into the dark by an invisible force, while Stephanie and her mum run off to hide. Thinking it's gone, Stephanie and her mum leave their hiding spot, but mum gets attacked. Stephanie runs outside and tries to climb over the fence, but is pulled back down by her mother. Something starts attacking the ground around them, but stops as mum chloroforms Stephanie, putting her to sleep, all while apologising and telling her daughter that she's the monster. The parents end up sitting Stephanie down, and this is all where it starts to make sense. The knife in the lounge ceiling, the dead brother, the missing parents. Basically, it's revealed in a flashback that Stephanie killed her brother. With these wild alien powers she has that act according to her emotions. Which is why whenever she got sad or angry, or just really wanted something or believed something spooky would happen in the house. The parents ran so they wouldn't get killed. However, they're not so much special powers as they are an alien inhabiting and concealing itself inside children, taking home in part of their brain until they can seize full control. All this information, by the way, Stephanie had pushed deep down and forgotten about, so upon reminding her all about it, shit hits the fan, and they have to quickly knock her out again. The parents then try to perform a small brain surgery the mum's been learning over time, attempting to destroy the area in the brain these aliens seem to be inhabiting. However, Stephanie wakes up just long enough to stop the surgery from happening. It's later revealed on a news broadcast that the facilities trying to do the same surgery have been destroyed, and experts now believe that euthanasia is the only cure. So they gotta kill the kids. Resigned to the knowledge of what they have to do, the parents make a batch of hot chocolate and lace it with a jar of pills. The dad invites Stephanie for a walk through the orchard. Stephanie doesn't remember what she did, but she understands that she's hurt people and that she has to try and control herself. They talk to each other as they walk, and it's honestly so sad. The dad's trying so hard to be strong as he announces that it's getting cold and they should drink their hot chocolate. Before they can take a drink though, the thermos is flung from Stephanie's hand as the thing inside her tries to save itself. The dad ends up drawing a gun and empties a few rounds into his daughter as he starts to get attacked. He comes back to the house alone and vomits, before both parents just end up holding each other, crying. Bros, it's sad. Like, really, really sad. It's done so well, and I feel so bad for all the characters. I full on cried the first time I watched it. You know that silent cry you do, where tears just kind of be running down your face? Yeah, bro. Hits hard. Before Mum and Dad can leave the house to bury the body, Stephanie starts walking across the lawn towards them, looking very not dead. She comes inside and starts messing everything up. We get the sexy juxtaposed scene of Stephanie's mum hiding in the shower while the silhouette of Stephanie stands outside the frosted glass, these wild-looking shadow tentacles wriggling around her. Now, if you're one for enjoyable death scenes, you're gonna have a good time. I ain't spoiling them. I'm just gonna say there's no gore, bro, but they pop. Stephanie destroys part of the house on her way out, a mass of shadows wriggling from under her, destroying all they touch. Stephanie's no longer Stephanie. Alright guys, gals, and all in between. That's Stephanie, or at least some of it. A really, really good film. The music throughout the film is beautiful, controlled, and really makes scenes hit hard. This movie is so good at staying interesting and making you feel things. There's practically no blood, so if gore's a turn-off for you, you don't have to worry. My only complaint would be that at the end, they use CGI for the destroyed buildings, and it doesn't look very good. I will always stand by the use of practical effects because they age well and almost always look better. With that said, I highly recommend giving Stephanie a watch. And if you'd like to re-listen, give your opinion, or hear any of my other reviews, you can find me across most social media under the name Shit-imma-artist. That's IMMA, because we don't use real grammar here. Or you can also find me on the Manawatu People's Radio website at mpr.nz/show/BlockbusterBackrooms. Same names will send you my way on YouTube. I hope you all have a good night, and this has been Blockbuster Backrooms.